Welcome back, Fortnite fam, to the FNCS. This is day number 1 of Major number 2. The last game number 4 went over to Skittles and Cayenne for the massive 10 elimination victory royale. Now, it did say they won the game rather in 16th place. And this is just to reiterate how a single game can suddenly shift the entire leaderboard. As we get ready to take a look, after just that one game, remember 10 elim victory royale, we went from 84 points all the way up, and now we're suddenly 6th place, 189 for Skittles and Cayenne. Now, this is, again, just want to emphasize, this is off a single game. So with that context, why don't we continue talking about all the duels we're seeing? Peterbot and Poyo, guys, we've done it. We've done it. They're in the top 10. We finally had a game. We're also placed in the top 10, you know, after a few not what I would say standout games. Only 2 games out of the 4 where we've had a top 5, Kelly. So, you know, Peterbot, Poyo, I feel like this happens a lot, right, Kelly? Like, they're kind of, you know, it kind of feels a little all over the place, and then suddenly after a single game they shift gears and then they kind of start to just rise up the leaderboard.
They have historically been a day 2 team. They like to build the tension, the suspense for day 1, let people think that they've fallen off. And, you know, obviously with the Summit LAN, they didn't have 2 days, so they split it into half and half instead. But for whatever reason, this duo prefers to kind of take it a little, I don't want to say take it easy in day number 1, but they kind of pull back a little bit. And it's really not until day 2 that we see this ultra aggression or these kind of new strategies coming out. So the fact that they're in top 10 right now and we still have 2 more games to go today, let alone tomorrow, I am not concerned whatsoever. But Vivid, what I am concerned about, out of our top 7, so 14 players, 4 of them are from EU.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's getting a little scary up here, and you're kind of talking about those EU players. Obviously, one of them who's doing very, very well today so far, Veno alongside Ages of Main. Take a look at that eliminations column. They have not only entered the 20 elimination threshold, they're almost on 30. They've got 28 total eliminations, and I feel like it is now very, very clear what these guys and their objective is going to be for the rest of this FNCS. And it's just going to be continuously fight. And they're kind of forced to because of this whole all spawn situation. Whenever they leave, they're just kind of shambles. They can't really ever get a solid foothold under them. So basically what they do is they just go ahead, they W key a team. They want to fight a team to hopefully kind of get something rolling. But when you fight a team, you're kind of delayed on your rotation, and then you have to use so many maps to make that rotation. So then you're kind of forced to fight again and again and again. But they are fighting time and time again, and it is actually working for these guys. I mean, being triple contested at a POI, making it off spawn, and being in 4th place right now is a feat that is very, very hard to describe.
And they're making it look so easy, right? I don't know, man. If we want to keep this like going, I feel like eventually they're just going to overtake, right? Because their plan, it's been the same, and they've pulled it off every single game now. 2 games left to go, but Kelly, you know, I was looking at the old leaderboard here, and I was like, oh yeah, 10th Peterbot, Poyo, and I was working my way up the leaderboard, right? And I saw, what is it? Xset Muzz. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, and Rise is up there, and 2. 1st place, yeah, totally unbiased, not a Muzz's #1 fan over here. Crazy stuff. When I look at their, you know, their stats, we've only had kind of one quote-unquote bad game, right? A 30th place with no elims, right? Everything else, 2nd place, 6 eliminations. 1st place, the VR with 8, and then a 3rd place with 2 eliminations. If we remove that bad game, Kelly, just that one bad game, these stats are pretty insane.
I love Vivid, how I can tell who Zeke is going to talk about just by his cadence and his tone of voice. But yeah, when you're talking about Muzz and Rise, obviously we all get excited. It's Muzz and Rise, obviously them being in 1st place. I don't know if that was on anyone's bingo boards, but I am so excited to see it and for them to be consistently in the top of our leaderboard. And it is through their own consistency. They're not necessarily going for these early aggressions like Veno and Agers. They're not necessarily going for these crazy height plays like Clicks or Peterbot Poyo. No, they're just playing standard Fortnite. And when it comes down to these grand finals, more and more times that we see in our top 10, it is, yes, some pop-off games, but also just people playing standard Fortnite. And I think that is what Muzz and Rise do best.
Yeah, I mean, listen, our top 5 right now separated by only 35 points. And a team that's kind of snuck into that top 5. Not only the top 5, but the top 3. I feel like a duo that has kind of been a little bit quiet, not only in this grand finals, but just across this entire season. Moneymaker and F9, kind of this duo. You know, usually when we talk about the moves that kind of happen, it's usually a single player, right? Like Queasy came over and then found an NA duo mate, and then Veno came over and found an NA duo mate. But Moneymaker and F9 as a duo themselves move over from EU and try to take over the NA region. And I maybe am not going to be saying try at the end of this FNCS because sitting in 3rd place right now is super, super interesting. I believe they were actually supposed to be contested kind of coming into the weekend, but I think they've been uncontested over these first 4 games, so hopefully they can keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I think they were initially going to be contested by Seek and Taki, but by how these games have been going, it doesn't seem like they're dealing with any situations off spawn, and if they are handling it quite quickly. So listen, I love all of our players, I love all of our teams to show up, but come on, NA, come on.
Yeah.
I just feel like I can envision Levin in my head. You know, he's just rubbing his hands together.
Oh, he's so happy.
All right, man. I'm gonna. All right. Well, you know what? Look, it's fine. We have 2 more games left to go. We'll see how things go. But for now, we jump back into the action. Casters, over to you.
Thank you, Zeke. Yeah, look, Jacob, I was looking at the points too. I gotta say, round of a golf clap for Agers and Veno. 4th place, man. Triple Con, all the upsets that have happened so far. It's just impressive.
Yeah, honestly, coming into this weekend, seeing that triple cause, he has to have a trick underneath his sleeve. There is no way Veno willingly puts himself in a triple contested fight. Well, guess what? The only trick he had underneath his sleeve is just complete and utter domination over the POI, over the surrounding lands. This is almost giving me deja vu of his day 2 run on way to winning Major 1.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what's carrying everyone here, at least on the standings, is who is getting those eliminations. Clearly, that is the difference maker here and now, but Muzz and Rise have a completely different story on hand. That win really separates them, but this competition, Jacob, is getting closer and closer now. We only have a couple more games in front of us, so let's go ahead and do it one more time.
Again, huge props to Muzz and Rise. A team that formed kind of last second, didn't have a good day 1 for play-ins, but somehow making it work. I had questions about F9 and Moneymaker. It almost seems like they're landing everywhere on the map to take advantage of whoever's at the top side of the leaderboard, taking a page out of Veno and Queasy, Peter Bot and Poyo's playbook, and really putting it to use before it's too late.
Yeah, you did a good job calling out Moneymaker and F9. Guys, if y'all didn't know, Jacob's like, by the way, I think they have something up their sleeve. We got to see what they're up to in the early game. And they do it once again. They have already successfully lurked. I believe it was Ritual and Cold last game. And now look at this. They're eyeing up Skittles here. Nice little knock on to Cayenne. This is not looking good. Every single time they've gotten the knock, they've managed to finish these fights up really quickly.
And I gotta give a huge thank you to Moneymaker and F9. I had one wish coming into today. One wish, and it was just to make sure that Game 12 mattered in terms of the actual championship. Moneymaker and F9 are doing their darndest to make sure that they have a chance going into Game 12, or maybe even a lead here. And these are all from them being uncontested at the south side of the map, hunting team after team. And right now, Ishu and Dozier meet the same fate. There is no way, Monster, that in back-to-back majors, we have somebody from EU coming over and taking down NA.
I gotta say, I have a huge problem with this, guys. F9 and Moneymaker are showing up and doing things we haven't seen done on the NAC region in quite some time. This level of dynamic play and execution is one to be studied. So far, so good for them. Their early game, chef's kiss.
Now we get to check out another one of our entertaining early games, the Latte Landing. Again, only 2 teams actually in the POI, and I don't see as much kind of surrounding focus. I don't see Magma and Void. I don't see 20 and Chimp. So it does seem like, you know, instead of waiting till day 2 to switch things up, they're switching it up here in the second half of day one. Yuz and Sharkman consistently contested here towards the backside of the actual map. A little bit of a split drop, but it just goes to show 104 points still. They really haven't been able to stay on track after their first 2 big games.
Yeah, those first games started off so strong, and the last 2, I mean, being one of the first to fall there in the lobby is definitely a tough one to deal with. In the end, though, they just have to find their footing, see if they can get their car back at the tracks here, remain in the race. Looking at things on the other side, though, our current point game leaders. You have, of course, Rise and Muzz here. Last game, they pulled a 3rd place with 2nd, or 2 eliminations there. Very well played for them right after the victory royale before that. So just all in all, pretty consistent so far here. And that's with dropping game number 2, actually. You see that. They got a 30th place. So it's not like they're playing perfect. They're just playing better than everyone else.
You've seen things heat up at different points in the map. Shadow and Virgo probably not where they want to be on the overall leaderboard, leaving Heatwave Harbor early to try to get some damage and eliminations here again. Storm Surge has been ailing them as Virgo gets that elimination. He does take some damage, but not as much as you would think. They do wipe off Causers and DK out of this game. And now to keep the show rolling, you can see them return back to Heatwave Harbor where they do have that legendary POI.
Yeah, this is really interesting of a performance so far from Shadow and Virgo, because it's not that they've been playing great, because they're not playing terrible either. They've been alive 18 minutes, 21 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes. It's like something is going wrong so late in the tournament that they are missing tons and tons of placement points. If they can just close that up, I mean, surely they'll be able to break away, but for now, their performances is landing them kind of in that 15th place range. So they're still very much in the competition, but yeah, overall tough. But what do you think about this lurk happening here? Veno always has something cooking. This time, though, it's Victor V and Queasy who are kind of lost right now. They don't have a single clue.
I'm not necessarily too surprised, because if you take a little bit of trip down memory lane, Heat 3, after they were essentially qualified in points after landing Heatwave Harbor, they did contest the top side of the map here. They're just constantly keeping teams guessing, and because Latte landing is contested as well, they're just going elsewhere for the loot, catches one off guard, takes a big shot himself, but 200 damage just like that on Queasy, leaving Victor V by himself. And he has a decision to make here. You could sit in your Surge Tower, you have some extra heals, or you're gonna disengage, and he knows he needs to create distance fast, because Venom and Ager's one of the few teams that would certainly chase him down.
Yeah, what's tough about that too is how much loot they actually have secured here. So Agers and Veno can also just steal the drop if they want. They can totally stay here if they felt like it. But Victor kind of hastily looking to catch a low profile here. So he's off to the tunnel. That's a tough spot to be in.
The QK and Maraps kind of forced underneath again, and for QK and Maraps, it's literally been game after game after game. I think game 1 might have been the only one that we saw Clicks and Rapid not jump on them and try to take the fight. So now I feel like for them, planning for Clicks and Rapid is a must in their game plan. Always having to look at the sky to make sure they're not getting dropped off, because the audio visuals aren't necessarily there when you get jumped on from that cube. So got to make sure you have eyes in the front, back, and sides of your head when it comes to Clicks and Rapid. As Peterbot and Pollo, we saw them in that last game stay very long over towards Sinister Strip. This time around, just like in some of the earlier games, they're making it a focus to rotate out.
Yeah, Reed and Cooper get into a pretty scrappy fight here on the coast as well. This one already kicked off by themselves here. Looking pretty good, but you can tell that all sides are a little withered down, but Cooper kind of winning the trade there. Nicely done. He's going to catch 20 there. And just like that, they already have somewhat of a lead, but Calixi and Aiden are listening nearby, watching from the top down. They recognize this fight's not over yet. One mistake, and it's going to cost them. Calixi and Aiden might even jump in a little early here to try to secure the elimination. We'll see.
Yeah, if I'm watching the feed and I'm clicking Aiden, if I see Reed or Cooper get knocked, that's a green light to go. They know at least one player here is a solo, and they just got to really take advantage of the information being given. That's Chimp on the other side, just trying to stay alive until unfortunately he does get cut short. But Cooper did actually go down. But we also have Booga and Braids. Aiden and Clixie did use that as a green light to go, but there's a whole nother team here in all this action. Reed ends up in a 1v1 against Clixie and mows him down. Reed standing 10 toes firm, holding his position.
Oh my gosh, the Siphon comes through. He's got plenty of time to work with now. Cooper does get full finish. Meanwhile, Booga and Braids jump in the conversation here. They're kind of lurking nearby. They haven't quite let their presence be known. First is going to be onto Aiden, but Aiden puts down the counter shot. Reed downloads all that, by the way. Now he definitely knows there's a whole different team here. So all he has to do is get the reboot card and skate out. Look at this. Braids, again, hungry, young, accurate. Does exactly what it needs to do. Secures the elim. Reed just trying to hide out now, but Braids and Booga probably know he's still here.
Yeah, it was Reed that kind of backed down. Booga once. Good information. Reed has a decent amount of heals. It's just the 2v1 and the timing that's going to be crucial. You see Braids being persistent to try to put down pressure. And it's not necessarily only to land damage, but to stop Reed from healing. But they lose track of him literally for 1 second. And that's going to be the second that he needs to start to heal up, putting him in fighting shape. But he is officially on a clock. Only 30 left in the second. Chug Jug. And with the storm, 1 tick per, he finally peaks, lands the first shot on the Braids, but 2v1, Booga and Braids have just taken down Reed and Cooper.
Yeah, a bit of a bad edit at the end there to try to just go all in for the fight, but it is what it is. Booga and Braids, you know, just the well-timed entry into the battle. Meanwhile, Josh Yamso finds their way to 2 eliminations, and then another as they find Victor V. It's the insta-elim. Queasy and Victor V now down and out, all because of the lurk from Veno to really set this one up and kind of push that ball down the hill.
And I like the idea of Victor V going down here to try to hide. You typically can run into 1 team, maybe 2 on the other side of the porta potty, but both of them hunkered down underneath, leaving really no direction to go. Is just something that's going to be near impossible to survive. Josh Yamso happy with what they got. Just kind of still holding their position. They heard how many teams were actually there inside of these tunnels, so they're just waiting for them to make a mistake, make a little bit too much noise. But as you can see, it's just way too much time ticking down the HP. They have no choice but to use the Chug Jugs. But with that shockwave from Liam and Jace in the distance, they hear it and they know somebody else is still around.
Yeah, this can go either way as they kind of sit that one out. We'll see if an ambush ends up taking place. Meanwhile, Noxie and Dash, a team that's very much in the conversation. As we jumped away, by the way, you saw that elim pop up in the feed there. But Noxie, Dash here, waiting in the storm when the safe zone is right there and there's nowhere in sight. I'm thinking that they might have thought someone might have been nearby. Maybe there was a bit of a standoff here. They're trying to bait for some extra damage there. Either way, they don't know that the coast is very much clear.
Probably just don't want to take too many risks. The zone being close is good and all, but they don't know how many other players are lurking around. Sit on the mending machine is going to be the strategy for Noxie and Dash. Let's see if it works out with them as this game does continue. But as it stands, they're 9th place in the overall leaderboard. And there's only 1 team with a global championship spot secured. So we would only, in theory, if it ended now, roll down to a top 7 situation. Luckily for everybody here, we still got this game and 1 more today. 6 more fresh games tomorrow before we not only crown a Major 2 champion, but see which 6 teams go to the globals.
Tough spot to be in too for Victor and Queasy now that I'm looking at it, because the zone is actually for the first time coming all the way up towards the Lifty Lodge. You can see Curve and Higgs are going to be the main benefactors here. Very, very much content to have this huge base. Now, I am wondering if, because of the way it's playing out, have they managed to find enough damage from this positioning? And obviously you can see down towards where Veno and crew would have rotated shortly after finding Queasy there. Holds Acorn on the other side. Not too different from what we normally see of them kind of in the early game here.
Wow. 20 top 10s in FNCS finals, joint with most in the world with Kanata, whose streak sadly ended in both the heats and the LCQ. So somebody else has a chance to try to take that mantle. I'm not sure what that streak currently is now, but it's definitely going to be a new player. Bolts, in terms of overall top 10s, got to be the most in the world in terms of regionals and LAN events. He's an FNCS champion. He's won a solo LAN, and honestly, him pairing with Acorn is like the perfect mix. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It's like spaghetti and meatballs. You got probably one of the best up-and-comers out of the NA West region with one of the best IGLs in the world.
Most definitely. But look at this exciting team here for 9 and Moneymaker. 3 eliminations and a clean rotate right now with not a lot of pressure, as teams haven't quite realized that they're already on the move. You think with the way they've set up their fights that they'd have a little more damage, but in the end, they're still pretty comfortable right now.
I was about to say, I saw Rapid in the feed, and there was no knock. There wasn't a storm. It just looked like Rapid eliminated himself. So you know what I'm thinking is going on right here? You see the extra loot down below? They are trying to reset the surge a little bit, would be my best guess. Trying to ease up on the pressure and the pain just a little bit. 252 above that damage threshold as they make their way back over towards Wonky Land. You could see a huge hole in their arsenal. 3 total missing item slots. They do have some gold to replenish some, but you can see it's not going to max them out overall.
Well, let's get into the action here. So the rotate went pretty south here for F9 and Moneymaker. What was looking like a nice little cruise down the highway here turned into a devastating situation for them. This is pretty rough. 264 below, already lost his teammate, and even with the extra heals, Noxy and Dash have to force this fight because they're also below the surge. Now this could still go either which way, but in the end, they get a little bit of damage for Noxy. Although they get a couple of seconds, the surge lands right before the damage can swing their way. And now they're out. And remember, Jacob, they were very much in the race right now, inside the top 10 there.
Moneymaker and F9 to go down. They've essentially moved 1 point behind Higgs and Curve in the overall leaderboard. Skittles and Cayenne, 6th place to start this game, have just gone down. So you can see a lot of our teams in the top 10, not only just having struggles, but actually being eliminated out of our 5th game of the day, just kind of making it harder for teams to kind of remain consistent. We still got Muzz Rise, Higgs Curve, Cold, and Ritual here starting this game. 8th place so far, 172 points. You can see not too far away from the actual drop spot of the Battle Woods. And so you got to be able, if you're a Cold, Ritual, or anybody else for that matter that gets the zone, give your actual POI, these are the games you have to make count more than any other.
Ritual, Cold though, 619 damage above. Every time we've jumped in with them in the mid game too, they've kind of had this nice position, just looking to tag players on the rotate. They've had this very smooth game, minus the one time that they were ambushed on. Meanwhile, this is how Clicks in Rapid fall. Sad way to go out there in the storm, unfortunately. But hey, Clicks did what he could to try and save Rapid. Just wasn't going to be enough.
Yeah, I take it back. They weren't resetting Surge. They were just having troubles getting back in the game. No extra med kits. You saw they really had no gold whatsoever for the most part. Trying to make their way out of Wonky Land. Those are the one mistakes you realize, hey, maybe we overstayed our welcome. You saw Clicks at the last second. Sickness ticks, not Storm Surge, sickness. That means he took over 600 damage in the zone up until that point. So continue on with King and Graves. You see them 5 below the damage threshold. They're a team that's confident, especially with a rotation coming around this corner. They know they can get the damage.
Some car Wapit
kind of lurking up, getting that high ground.
car is so far away now.
Give up this position.
Maybe not, but
Peterbot Boyer are likely going to be shockwaving off of this here shortly. Meanwhile, Yamzo and Josh is the best we've seen them. Kind of the strongest we've seen them actually overall, especially now that they picked up that Mystic Pistol from Victor.
Outside of that last game, 32nd with 1 elimination, it seems like they're on a trajectory. 18th Force, good pop-off game. And now this could be the one that keeps them consistent and on track as Higgs and Curve, 96 above. They're barely above that damage threshold, but for them, they know other teams are going through worse. They have good amount of materials. Heals are actually there as well. Rise and Muzz at the top side of the map. You can see them fighting against Nut and CDZ, but they're not too far away from Peterbot and Pollo as well, who's continuing to put down that same pressure. CDZ is going to fall. Nut is going to fall. That is 2 more eliminations for Peterbot and Pollo.
Already though, Veno doing exactly what they did last game, finding their way, clawing their way back into the competition to remain relevant. Such a different playstyle this time around too. Making a completely different rotate, just pulling out all the strats in the book, really keeping different teams on their toes right now. Peterbot and Pollo though going back to what we've seen them do time and time again is build up for the high ground, try to be that dominating team in the lobby, really try to identify themselves as the team that will also fight for height every game. Muzz and Rise, completely different approach to the end game though. A little bit more of a passive play, but this mountain though is tough for them to work with. I'm actually more surprised it wasn't Higgs and Curve just kind of coasting their way through, given that they pulled all the zones.
Yeah, just one decision, going north instead of south, hoping it pulls in that direction and kind of steer you off course as Hoppy and Aminish have overtaken another team on the high ground. This is their chance to look back. 124 points so far. Essentially outside of the top 15 coming into this game, so they really have to execute. As Muzz goes down, Rise and him in first place as of now. It's really going to be all up to Rise here to try to continue to clutch up. Now hold on to the top side of leaderboard, but you can see with only 2 builds left, he's scrambling around. He's waiting for Muzz to officially go down, but since the zone isn't there, it's taken way more time than he'd hoped.
See how Yamzo turns the situation around. Josh gets finished here. He couldn't quite save him. Muzz versus, I was going to say Rise versus Yamzo there. In the end, Yamzo comes out ahead. He's now at 5 elims here, Jacob, really earning his stay with the points here.
Yeah, typically you expect Josh to be clutching up these situations today, but so far it's been all Yamzo all the way, almost every single attempt. As Veno and Agers finally start to look up, Javi and Aminish, they get chopped down. They fall all the way down to 2 separate layers. Aminish all the way down below. Javi's trying to hold on to it. Aminish has to work his way back on up, and right next to him, while he's trying to fly towards the sky, Acorn and Bolts find that elimination onto King. You can see there's not a lot of shockwave split between the two. A lot of those heals are going to be onto Bolts, who are getting pressured by Pollo as of now. Bolts is going to drop. Peterbot nowhere in sight, and Pollo has no builds left. He needed that siphon and the builds in order to keep himself going.
And look, while all that was happening, Veno Agers come out on top. Now at 4 eliminations and counting here. Almost a top 10 starting to unfold. Curve finally falls there in the feed. Yamzo falls as well. And you can see it's just Higgs here left alive. It's the first time we've actually seen Higgs by himself in this endgame here. His teammate still down behind the wall, so has that tough decision to think about whether you stick around and try to pick up the remains of the teammate. Cold actually gets the second elimination as we jump away. Acorn, though, from the cone, finds Veno with a nasty lurk play. A little bit of karma for the boy there. And now Acorn's looking to do it again here. Solo dolo here in the end game. You have Agers lurking behind. Pollo playing this one out solo as well. And things are just looking really interesting here now.
Every single one of our Titans are left as a solo. Even with the elimination there, Acorn's gonna go down. He didn't actually get credit for the siphon, so no HP. Cold and Pollo slide down below onto 2 different sides. There's only one duo standing, and I use that word relatively loose because it's Okus and Zonda on the other side. They're gonna be able to secure that first elimination onto Pollo, put themselves in a driver's seat. It's a 1v2 versus Cold. He is 1 shot away from going down, but that first one is gonna connect from Cold. He gets a lot more time bought here as the zone goes over the top of that bridge. So there's no way for them to interact until they reach the other side. Okus and Zonda down below versus Cold.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy because Colt's given a little bit of time to farm. He didn't even stop to chug here. He's kind of in his head right now, looking for the shot. Jumps down, though.
Wait.
It's the important one, and that'll cost him the game. But this round in specific,
That's all good.
was Zonda and Okis's run. Zonda was in the feed the entire time.
Okay.
Okus, he took a little break, he took a little nap, but Bucky, Okus,
Okay,
they woke
that
him
win.
up. They made sure that he's primed up, he's
Oh.
teaming with Zonda, and now look at him. Not only a grand finals appearance, but a victory royale, Zeke.
I'm gonna have to go and watch Bucky's perspective after this win for sure. Congratulations, Xanda Okus, get a victory royale here in game number 5. Crazy stuff, and to do it against someone like Cold, someone of that caliber, it's gotta feel so good. I hope they continue this momentum. I really do, because I mean, hey, a victory royale is a victory royale.
I think Okus and Xanda knew that they were going up against someone big, someone threatening in the 1v2, because you could see just how patient they were in that end game. The only duo when it was down to what, like 7 players, but still not taking anything too aggressive, not playing anything too crazy, because at that moment, all they needed to do was just wait, bide their time. And it is Cold, so if anyone can 1v2, it's possibly going to be him. But Okus and Xanda played that so well. You know that everyone in the community right now is freaking out for Okus. You gotta love to see him not only make it into the grand finals, but also showing up on the big stage.
These games are kind of boiling down to a very similar situation every single time. I mean, just so many solos every single time we make it to these end games, and then it's like one duo is still in the mix. They're still got the advantage in numbers, and that's kind of the turning point for them to go ahead and actually close out the game. But it was all chaos on the low ground. You can see Okus and Xanda trying to stay alive. It was like a little bit of a moment here where Cold and Pollo, the 2 solos in the mix there, were kind of working in unison accidentally to try to go ahead and take out the duo. But unfortunately, Okus and Xanda went ahead, held strong there, and they're going to be picking up the victory royale there in game number 5. You can see that puts them on 171 total points. So prior to this game, they weren't necessarily doing that well, but this is going to help them out a lot.
Absolutely, man. We've got one game left to go before we wrap up day number 1. Okay, we're gonna go to a break. When we come back, we'll set up everything. We'll take a look at the leaderboard, see how things are shaking out for all these duos. Because remember, there's 6 spots going to the global championship, all on the line. So go find some snacks, come back. We'll see you in just a moment.